You wake up, make your coffee, and take that first warm sip. The same routine you've trusted for years. But this morning, that routine comes with a warning. Recent testing and recalls have revealed that some popular coffee products contain mold toxins, banned chemicals, and even microplastics leaching into your cup. These aren't rare accidents. They're hidden problems in brands people drink every single day. For seniors watching Heart Health or families sharing coffee at breakfast, this isn't just bad coffee. It's a slow health trap disguised as comfort.
In today's video, we're exposing 10 coffee brands you should stop drinking immediately, even if they've been sitting in your kitchen for decades.
And stay till the end, because we'll also reveal a few brands that are actually clean, tested, and still worth your trust. Starbucks bottled Frappuccino. Starbucks stores are everywhere. Street corners, airports, malls, highway exits. For decades, the routine barely changed. You walk in, smell coffee, watch drinks made by hand, see beans ground in front of you. That daily sight built comfort, and comfort built trust. When that same green logo showed up on bottled drinks, the trust followed without question. If a brand this popular sells it everywhere, it must be safe. Wrong! Between 2014 and 2022, nutrition watchdogs and consumer health researchers consistently classified Starbucks bottled Frappuccinos as ultra-processed, high-sugar beverages rather than coffee. Ingredient audits across multiple years and markets showed coffee listed after milk and sugar, supported by stabilizers, emulsifiers, and artificial flavor compounds for shelf stability. This pattern appeared across flavors and regions, indicating systemic mass production. Health concern is real. A single bottle can exceed 40 grams of sugar alongside saturated fat and phosphate additives. High sugar intake is linked to insulin resistance, metabolic disruption, and cardiovascular strain. Emulsifiers such as carrageenan have been associated in clinical literature with gastrointestinal inflammation. You can see the difference yourself. Shake the bottle and watch how thick it moves. Pour it into a glass and notice how it coats the sides. Brewed coffee never behaves this way. This happens because the drink is engineered for shelf stability, not brewing. Syrups and fats replace extraction. In European markets, labeling standards required clearer sugar disclosure. However, in the United States, no front label warning appeared. No reformulation notice followed. The Starbucks cafe reputation remained untouched while the bottled product expanded. For seniors watching blood sugar or heart health, drinking this regularly can make those problems harder to manage. For children, it teaches their taste that sweet, sugary drinks are normal and expected. Just the beginning. Wait until you see what has been hiding for decades inside the world's most familiar instant coffee jar. Nescafe. Nescafe has been around so long that most people stop thinking about it. It sits in office cupboards, hotel rooms, clinic kitchens, and family homes without debate. The same red jar has crossed generations. Parents drank it. Grandparents drank it. For many homes, this was not a brand choice. This was simply what coffee looked like. The belief settled in over time. If it has been used everywhere for decades, it must be safe. That assumption failed the data. From 2013 through 2017, official food safety authorities in Europe and Asia conducted repeated testing on instant coffee products, including Nescafe. Multiple reports identified aflatoxins, a mold-derived contaminant that develops when coffee beans are stored improperly before processing. These findings triggered recalls and warnings across several countries and multiple production periods. This was not a one-time contamination event. It reflected ongoing supply chain exposure. Aflatoxins are not minor irritants. The World Health Organization classifies them as Group 1 carcinogens, the highest risk category. Chronic intake is associated with liver toxicity, immune suppression, and elevated cancer risk. Instant coffee processing adds further concern. High-temperature spray drying can increase acrylamide formation, a compound classified as a probable human carcinogen. For seniors who've been drinking this daily for years, that silent buildup matters. For families aiming to clean up their routines, it's one brand to stop trusting. Have you been drinking Nescafe for years? Just drop a comment. Let's see how many homes still trust that red label. And if it's in your cabinet, don't wait. Toss the jar today, not later, not when it's empty. Your health is worth more than finishing what's left. Tim Hortons Original Blend. Tim Hortons has been part of daily life for generations. In Canada, it showed up in small towns, city streets, highway stops, and hockey arenas. Mornings started there. Retirees met friends there. Families trusted it without thought. The name felt local, steady, and safe. The original blend was not just coffee, it was routine, familiar, reliable. The belief followed naturally. If everyone grew up with it, it must be safe.
That trust was misplaced.
In 2014, Tim Hortons was acquired by Restaurant Brands International. From 2015 through 2019, consumer complaints, court filings, and independent reviews began stacking up. Customers across Canada and the United States reported the same changes: burnt taste, chemical smell, stomach discomfort. These reports were not isolated. They appeared year after year. These reports were not isolated. They appeared year after year across regions after the same ownership shift. Independent testing and industry analysis pointed to increased acrylamide levels, a compound formed when coffee is roasted at excessively high heat. Acrylamide is classified as a probable human carcinogen by international health authorities. Aggressive roasting speeds output and cuts cost, but it also strips flavor and increases chemical byproducts. You can notice it yourself. Open a bag and smell it. Sharp, burnt, almost rubbery. Brew a cup and taste the finish. Bitter, metallic. It lingers in the wrong way. This happens because high-volume roasting favors speed and uniformity over care. Beans are pushed harder to meet scale. For people with sensitive stomachs, it can start to feel wrong pretty quickly. For seniors who drank it every day for years, the worry is what builds up over time, not one cup here and there. This is what happens when profit replaces stewardship, when a national symbol turns into a spreadsheet decision. Green Mountain K-Cups. Green Mountain built its name the slow way. It began as a small Vermont roaster, local and careful, the kind of brand people trusted without second thought. When Keurig machines spread into offices, kitchens, and waiting rooms, Green Mountain went with them. One button, no mess. Coffee in seconds. The pods felt clean, modern, and safe. They became part of daily life for families, seniors, and busy workers alike. But here's the problem. In 2018, a Canadian research team tested single-serve coffee pods under normal brewing conditions. Their findings showed that all tested K-Cup style pods released microplastic particles when exposed to hot water. This was not limited to one batch or one maker. Similar results have appeared in follow-up testing across different pod types and markets, pointing to a repeated system-wide issue tied to plastic brewing. Microplastics are small enough to pass into the bloodstream. The pods can also release BPA and phthalates, chemicals linked by health authorities to hormone disruption and developmental risk. These substances are not added for taste. They are a byproduct of heating plastic under pressure day after day. Want to see it yourself? Pop open a used pod. Look inside. Plastic walls, aluminum foil lid, stale powder that barely smells like coffee. That's what sat inside hot plastic before ending up in your cup. For pregnant women, hormone-disrupting chemicals can interfere with a baby's development. For families brewing 3 or 4 pods a day, that exposure doesn't stay small. It stacks up cup after cup, day after day, without anyone noticing until it's already part of daily life. And next, wait until you see what's been hiding for decades inside one of the most trusted red cans in America, Folgers. The best part of waking up? Yeah, you know the rest. That line has done a lot of heavy lifting for this brand. Folgers doesn't just sell coffee, it sells comfort, habit, routine. It's the coffee that shows up without being questioned. Diners, offices, family homes. For a lot of people, Folgers is coffee. The belief followed without effort. If everyone drinks it every morning, it must be safe. Wrong. Grab a can and read the label. Try to find where the beans came from. You won't see a country, no farm, no region, no bean type. Just one vague word. Coffee. Folgers is one of the most secretive coffee brands in the country. Other brands at least pretend to tell you something. Folgers doesn't bother. There's nothing to check, nothing to verify. That silence is the strategy. Here's what industry insiders have confirmed for years. Folgers relies heavily on Robusta beans. They cost about 30% less than Arabica. They're harsher, bitter, thin. Real roasters avoid them. Folgers built a massive empire by leaning into them. And the instant version gets worse. Maltodextrin shows up as a filler. Silicon dioxide keeps it from clumping. Natural flavors step in to fake what the beans can't provide. Open the can and smell it. That scent feels comforting because it's engineered to be. Brew a cup and look closely. Pale color, watery body, no oils on top. Real coffee has weight. This looks like brown water. Between 2015 and 2018, independent lab testing found acrylamide levels above California Proposition 65 warning limits. That's the state's cancer risk threshold. Folgers never warned customers, never reformulated, never acknowledged it. For people with cancer or a weakened body, long-term exposure matters. For families brewing pot after pot, those small doses quietly stack up. You can turn the can around as many times as you want. There's nothing to read. And if you've trusted that red can for decades, all that trust was built on what Folgers chose not to say. 60 years of jingles, 0 years of transparency. If this level of secrecy from a familiar brand bothers you, the next one uses trust in a much sneakier way. McCafe. It's easy to trust McCafe. You see it everywhere. The same cup in your morning drive, at the airport, in a K-cup box at the grocery store. It feels safe, familiar. McDonald's has built that comfort for decades. Same logo, same routine. Millions of people drink it every day. That kind of presence makes it feel dependable. Like, if everyone's drinking it, it must be fine. That belief, it's been quietly shaken. Back in 2014, Canadian inspectors tested McDonald's coffee and found something concerning. High levels of acrylamide, a chemical that forms when coffee beans are roasted too hot, too fast. It's not just any chemical either. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a likely cancer risk. And this wasn't a one-time thing. Acrylamide was found in brewed McCafe coffee, in store bags, even in K-cups, across different years, in multiple countries. Then there's the issue with K-cups themselves. Hot water under pressure flows through plastic. That means tiny bits of plastic and chemicals like BPA can end up in your cup. You won't notice, but your body might, especially over time. In Europe, companies are required to monitor and limit acrylamide. In the US, no label, no update, just quiet shelves. You can check for yourself. Brew a cup and look closely. It's pale, almost see-through. Smell it. That faint chemical note under the roast? That's the factory finish. For older adults whose kidneys don't filter as well as they used to, these particles can build up quietly. And for kids and teens, with nervous systems still developing, even small doses can have a bigger impact than we realize. For anyone pouring this cup every morning, trusting the logo and the routine, McCafe protected its image, not you. The information existed, the warnings were known, and they chose not to pass them on. Great value coffee. Great value. The name itself makes you feel like you've made a smart, no-nonsense decision. It's Walmart's brand, and that carries weight. They've made a business out of cutting prices without cutting corners. So it makes sense to assume their coffee follows the same logic. For a lot of households, this feels like the dependable choice, especially when coffee's a daily habit and budgets are tight. But cheaper coffee doesn't just mean simpler, it can mean sloppier. In 2016, Consumer Reports tested dozens of coffee brands for mold toxins. Great Value showed the highest levels in the group, particularly ochratoxin A, a toxin that forms when beans are stored too long in damp, poorly ventilated spaces. This isn't some rare defect. It's what happens when quality control gets skipped to shave off costs. And here's where that shows up clearly. The bag. Pick it up and read it. No country of origin, no farm, no lot number, no roast date. There's nothing traceable. You have no idea where the beans came from, how long they sat in storage, or how they were handled. Just a private label logo and a price tag. And that price, sometimes less than $5 per pound, tells its own story. Proper coffee production costs more than that before it even hits the shelf. To sell it this cheap, something had to give. Usually it's sorting, testing, and safe storage. You'll smell it. A musty basement-like note when you open the bag. Brew it and you'll see cloudy liquid, sometimes with grit at the bottom. For older folks or anyone with immune issues, and kids are even more vulnerable, that cheerful label, it covers up a shortcut. International Delight Iced Coffee. It looks harmless. A bright plastic bottle, a splash of iced coffee on the label. You spot it in the fridge at the grocery store, maybe grab one at the gas station. It feels like a small treat. Cool, creamy, comforting. But take a moment, flip the bottle over and read the ingredients. Coffee isn't the first ingredient, or even the second. It's fourth. What comes first? Water, sugar, cream. That means most of what you're drinking isn't coffee. It's a melted milkshake with a hint of caffeine. Just one 15-ounce bottle has 42 grams of sugar. That's more than a full can of Coke. And then there's the extras. palm oil, sodium phosphate, carrageenan, artificial flavors. These aren't things you'd expect in a coffee drink. They're what you find in ultra-processed desserts. Shake the bottle and pour it out. Watch how it moves. It's thick, creamy. That slick layer clinging to the glass, that's from the oils, emulsifiers, and gums holding everything together, not from any real bean. For folks managing blood sugar, this is dangerous without looking like it. For older adults keeping an eye on inflammation or heart health, it's a sugary, saturated fat combo wrapped in caffeine. And for kids and teens, it builds a taste for sweet drinks masked as daily habits. The worst part? They market it like it's coffee. But this is dessert, rebranded and repackaged, and it could cost you your life. Seriously, I mean it. Avoid it completely. Don't even finish the bottle. Because if sugar dressed up as coffee is bad, what happens when they're dressed in flashy Italian name? Lavazza. Lavazza gives off a certain feeling the moment you see it. That brushed metal tin, the elegant lettering, the colors. It's not just coffee, it's the suggestion of something European, refined, reliable. You picture espresso bars on quiet Italian corners. It feels safe, like you're treating yourself to something better. But that image falls apart fast. Between 2017 and 2019, several consumer protection groups across Europe ran lab tests on Lavazza's non-organic blends. What they found? Another round of ochratoxin A, the same mold-based toxin we saw earlier, but this time inside a brand that's supposed to be premium. A toxin that, over time, damages kidneys, weakens the liver, and builds up silently in the body. Especially dangerous for older adults, children, and people with long-term health conditions. And that wasn't all. Some batches contain traces of pesticide residue, even in blends that look clean on the surface. No organic label, no farming transparency, just the polished outer shell. Yet even after these tests, there were no recalls, no alerts, nothing pulled off shelves. And here in the US, these same products stayed on sale. No questions asked. Open the tin and smell it. The scent is strong, but strangely flat. Real coffee has layers. This one smells uniform, like it was built in a lab, not roasted in small batches. That tin might look fancy, but what's inside doesn't match the promise. It's not clean, it's just dressed up. Best to leave it on the shelf. Up next is a brand that skips polish entirely and hides its risks behind bold claims and sky-high caffeine. Deathwish Coffee. The name might actually be the most honest thing about this brand. Deathwish Coffee sells itself as the world's strongest coffee. Skull logo, black bags. Extreme branding aimed at people who think more caffeine always means better. And sure, if you want to feel wired, it delivers. A 12-ounce cup can hit 728 milligrams of caffeine. For reference, a normal cup of coffee sits around 90 to 100 milligrams. This is not a small jump, this is a spike. They get there by using Robusta beans. Cheaper beans, higher caffeine, harsher taste, lower quality. Then they roast them hard, really hard. That's why the smell is sharp and burnt. Open the bag and it hits your nose like charred wood. Brew it, and the bitterness sticks around long after the cup is empty. According to FDA adverse event reports, this coffee has been linked to heart palpitations, tremors, anxiety, and ER visits. Not rumors, actual reports. People thought they were buying strong coffee. They ended up with caffeine overdose symptoms. For seniors on blood pressure meds, this much caffeine can trigger irregular heart rhythm. For people with anxiety, it can spiral fast. For anyone who drinks more than one cup without thinking, it overloads your system before you realize what's happening. Here's the issue. The warnings are small, easy to miss. The marketing is loud, extreme, addictive. Profit comes first. Your limits come second. Skip it. Do not treat caffeine like a challenge. Now, if you've got Lavazza, Nescafe, Folgers, McCafe, Starbucks bottled Frappuccinos, Green Mountain K-Cups, or Tim Hortons Original Blend, don't hesitate. Get rid of them. Don't finish the jar. Don't use up the pods. Don't tell yourself it's fine one more time. Mold-prone powder, sugar sludge, burnt beans, and plastic-soaked coffee have no place in your routine. That sour smell when you open the bag, that oily film in the bottle, that plastic taste that lingers after a pod brew. That's your cue. Now take a breath. This isn't about fear, it's about control. Some coffee brands still treat coffee like food, not filler. They test their bean. They tell you where they come from. They don't hide behind nostalgia or logos. Those brands exist, and once you know what to look for, choosing them gets a lot easier. There's 4 coffee that actually deserves a place in your cup, so let's introduce them one by one. Purity Coffee. This is where coffee stops being just a habit and starts acting more like a health choice. Purity Coffee doesn't market itself as edgy or trendy. No flashy bag, no lifestyle slogan. That's intentional. This brand was built around one idea. Most coffee drinkers don't realize how much contamination shows up in ordinary beans, and no one is testing hard enough to catch it. Purity does something almost no one else does. Medical grade batch testing, not once in a while, every single batch. Before it gets sold, it's screened for mycotoxins, pesticide residues, and heavy metals. If a batch doesn't pass, it doesn't ship, period. That alone puts them in a different category. According to their published lab analysis, Purity Coffee contains about 65% higher antioxidant levels compared to standard commercial brands. That matters for people thinking about inflammation, brain health, and immune support. Antioxidants don't survive sloppy roasting or moldy storage. You only get them when the whole process is controlled. Their beans are grown on regenerative organic farm. That means the soil isn't just protected, it's improved over time. No chemical shortcuts. No synthetic pesticides baked into the supply chain. And unlike most brands, Purity actually shows you the result. They publish transparency reports so you can see where the beans came from and what they tested for. No guessing. Now let's talk about taste, because clean coffee still has to taste good. Open the bag and the aroma feels fresh and layered, not burnt. Brew a cup and it's smooth. No harsh bite, no sour edge. The finish is clean, not sticky or bitter. A lot of people notice they don't get the usual jittery crash or stomach discomfort afterward. For older adults dealing with chronic inflammation, this kind of cleanliness matters. For anyone recovering from illness or trying to reduce daily toxin load, it's a relief. You're not asking your body to fight what you just drank. Purity costs more than grocery store coffee, and that's honest. You're paying for testing, not marketing. For process, not packaging. This is coffee for people who read labels and care what happens long term. And while Purity focuses on purity inside the bean, the next brand solves a different problem altogether. What if your coffee could be easier on your stomach without losing flavor? Cafe Bustello. Here's a brand that keeps things simple, and that's exactly why it works. Cafe Bustello has been around for almost 100 years. Long before coffee became a lifestyle product, long before fancy bags and tasting notes. This was everyday coffee for people who just wanted something real, strong, and dependable. And that mindset never left. Start with what's inside. 100% Arabica beans. No fillers, no additives, no weird extras. The ingredient list is short for a reason. Coffee. That's it. Independent third-party testing has shown their batches come back clean. No mold problems. No surprise residues. That matters more than most people realize. Open a can and you'll notice it right away. The smell is bold and deep. Not sweet, not fake, just roasted coffee. Brew a cup and you'll see a thin layer of crema on top, even without an espresso machine. That's natural coffee oils rising up. You don't get that from overprocessed beans. It's also affordable, and that's important. Cafe Bustello proves you don't need to spend $15 or $20 a bag to avoid junk. They keep costs down without cutting corners. No plastic pods, no syrupy bottles, just ground coffee done right. For everyday drinkers, this is an easy switch. Strong enough to wake you up, smooth enough to drink daily, simple enough that you know what you're getting every time. This is clean coffee you don't have to overthink. And while Bustello keeps it honest and affordable, the next brand takes cleanliness even further. They test their coffee the way supplements get tested. Kicking Horse Coffee. Kicking Horse Coffee didn't grow by chasing trends. It stayed independent, Canadian owned, quietly focused on doing things right while bigger brands were cutting corners. That matters, because independence is what lets a company say no to shortcuts. Start with the basics. 100% organic, fair trade certified, not just on the label, but backed by sourcing practices that are easy to verify. Every bag tells you where the beans came from and when they were roasted. That roast date is important. Fresh coffee behaves differently. It smells different, it tastes different, it treats your body differently. They use Arabica beans only. No Robusta, no cheap fillers. Arabica has more flavor complexity and fewer harsh compounds. That's why real roasters stick with it. Kicking Horse roasts in smaller batches, which gives them more control and avoids overcooking the beans. Buy it whole bean if you can. Grinding right before brewing preserves compounds that disappear fast once coffee is exposed to air. When you brew it, watch what happens. The coffee blooms, bubbles rise. That's carbon dioxide releasing from freshly roasted beans. It's a sign of quality you can actually see. The flavor is balanced, not sour, not burnt, not flat. It's clean. with a finish that doesn't linger in a bad way. And most people notice they don't get that jittery, edgy feeling afterward. That's what happens when beans are grown well, stored well, and roasted with care. For people who care about health, this checks every box. Low contamination risk, ethical sourcing, full transparency. For everyday drinkers, it's just good coffee you don't have to think about. This is the benchmark. The standard other brands should be measured against. If you want one coffee that does everything right without drama, this is it. LifeBoost Coffee. If coffee has ever made your stomach turn on you, this one makes sense immediately. LifeBoost was built for people who love coffee but can't deal with the acid burn, the reflux, or that heavy feeling an hour later. Instead of using chemical tricks to strip acid out, they start at the source. The beans are grown at high altitude where coffee matures more slowly. That slower growth naturally lowers acidity and builds better flavor at the same time. LifeBoost is USDA organic and fair trade certified, which already cuts out a lot of the usual chemical problems, but they don't stop there. According to third-party lab testing, their beans are mycotoxin-free, no mold shortcuts, no guessing. Each batch is checked before it ever reaches a customer. They're also single origin, which matters more than people think. You know where the beans came from. One region, one growing environment. No mystery blends mixing good beans with questionable ones to keep costs down. The roast is intentional. Medium roast. That's the sweet spot. Dark roasts push heat too far and increase acrylamide formation. Light roasts can be harsh and sour for sensitive stomachs. Medium preserves antioxidants without burning the beans. You can taste the difference. The cup is smooth, clean, no sharp edge, no acid creeping up your throat an hour later. A lot of people who gave up coffee because of reflux find they can drink this without problems. For seniors dealing with digestion issues, that's a big deal. For anyone on meds that already irritate the stomach, it's one less stressor. And for everyday drinkers who just want coffee to feel good again, this fixes the problem at its root. LifeBoost isn't cheap, but stomach pain isn't cheap either. Neither are antacids you shouldn't need every morning. This is coffee that respects your digestion. And there's still one brand left, the one that checks every box and sets the standard for how coffee should be done. There you have it. From plastic pods and mold-prone coffee to familiar brands quietly cutting corners, this is what's really in a lot of everyday coffee. Not because coffee itself is bad, but because honesty got replaced with shortcuts. The good news is, you're not stuck with those choices. Clean, simple options still exist, and now you know what to avoid and what you can trust. Small switches like this don't feel big today, but over years, they matter. If this helped you think a little differently about what you drink every morning, hit like and subscribe. More exposes are coming. Thanks for watching. Take care of your body and drink smarter.